Hey guys, thinking we join us again for another exciting episode of Yoml. Today we're doing 271, and we actually, been talking for a while. So hopefully we're trying to wrap this one quick, but we'll see. We'll see if we can. So, Chris, what we got for the book, and what do we think about?
Yeah, let's do this. So we're gonna do a rapid Yoml tonight. Probably not, but we'll
Is
try.
that even possible?
Right. So the book for tonight is it's called Born a Crime: Stories from a South African Childhood by Trevor Noah. So do you know who Trevor Noah is?
Did we have a book by
We have
Trevor
this,
before?
we have this book. I think I've told you about this book before, just because I really enjoyed it a lot. Uh,
Okay, okay. His
uh,
name sounds familiar, so.
Trevor Noah is the host of the Daily Show. Is what he's most well known for. He's a comedian, so you know the Daily Show. Like Jon Stewart used to do the Daily Show, and then
All
when
right.
he retired, Trevor Noah took over the Daily Show from him. So he's been doing that for the past like probably 7 or 8 years, I think, or something like
Right.
that
Okay.
since
Okay.
Jon Stewart retired. Yeah, no, Trevor Noah is he's South African, but he's mixed race South African, so he's half white, half black. So this whole book is about Trevor's life growing up. It's called Born a Crime because that's what he was. He was born a crime. He in South Africa when he was born as a mixed as a they call them coloreds when they're mixed. So they have black people and you have white people and you have coloreds, which the coloreds are the 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 mixed race people that that's technically illegal. Like white people and black people in South Africa when he was born weren't allowed to have a relationship with each other and have a child. Like it was illegal. So he was technically born a crime. That's why it was called Born
Mm.
a Crime. So but it was a really interesting book. So this reflection actually started off with the reflection title was "A Balanced Mind Leads to Extraordinary Lives," and I'll explain in a second, obviously. But this is a book that my wife and I did together, and I didn't know what to expect because I mean Trevor Noah's funny and everything, and I mean I occasionally watch The Daily Show. I don't know, I can't remember the last time I saw it. Maybe it's been years ago, but it's not like I haven't ever seen The Daily Show before. Is my point. I know he's a funny guy. I've seen like comedy, routines of his and stuff like that in the past. Like, but I didn't know much about him other than that at that point in time. There, like his personal life, I didn't know anything about really. I thought this book was going to be about, Trevor Noah, the Daily Show host, and his career, and yada yada yada. Ironically, this book had nothing to do with any of that. It was literally about his life growing up in South Africa as a colored child, and that was all it was. I don't even think he even went past like his graduation from high school or something like that. I mean, this was all just about him, stories from his childhood growing up in South Africa during apartheid and after apartheid was lifted, and then just kind of what his life was like growing up and how he was torn between two different worlds, and when you're like it was a really interesting book because I actually learned a ton about South African history. I had no idea that like coloreds, as they were called, mixed race kids, like they were like shunned by both people. They weren't white and they weren't black, and in South Africa it was like you're either white or black, and coloreds were like literally like these like redheaded stepchilds of everyone. Like his mom was black and his dad was white, and his dad really wasn't in his life because his mom just wanted to have a colored child as almost like a political protest. So she asked this guy to get her pregnant, and they had a relationship, but like it wasn't like a serious relationship. And then he never really had much to do with him, other than just like random visits and stuff like that. So he lived with his mother in the colored neighborhoods, or sorry, in the black neighborhoods, but he was a colored person, so he didn't really fit in there. But then when he would go to school, like he was the white people kind of embraced him a little bit, but they didn't fully embrace him. But then he didn't, he couldn't really figure out how to be a black person either. So he was like stuck between these two worlds in the society that was so racially divided, that it was apartheid South Africa, right? And he was this weird colored kid that like he literally couldn't be seen with his mom in public because they would think that she had maybe stolen him, or something like that. Like that she had to pretend to be like his nanny and things, like because he would you're not allowed to be a colored kid, so like it wasn't he had a really weird childhood. growing up, where like he it was just really interesting to learn about South African history, his life, his and it was funny too. Obviously, he's a comedian, so a lot of the stories were pretty comical. So we finished this book, actually, my wife and I, and immediately she goes, "Man, that was awesome." She was like, find me more books like that, Chris." And I go, what do you mean, like finding more books like that? And she was like, I don't know, I don't know what I mean by that, but she was like, find more books like that, and then we can do it together. And I was like, oh Jesus Christ! I was like, it's like marriage in a nutshell. You're like, what do you want me to do? Yeah, let me just go dig through my library of amazing books about people growing up in unique situations and that are now famous, and they're hilarious, and also at the same time you learn and you grow and whatever. Anyway, marriages are funny, but I think
Right.
my 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 biggest reflection from this book, besides the fact that it was hilarious, and also very educational, and also very just an interesting story. I mean, he had an interesting childhood growing up. It was another notch in the pattern of other memoirs, of successful creative people in this world, where it was a similar story. And it's funny that we just got done talking about the stroke of genius and the
Stroke
right
of
brain left
insights.
stroke. Sorry, my stroke of insight, about right brain, left brain, and all this other stuff going on. Well, uh, I put it in this reflection. I can rattle off from memoirs after memoir after memoir of unique childhood stories where, like Shonda Rhimes of From a Year of Yes, and Will Smith's memoir of Will, and Kevin Smith's memoir about fat people, or whatever the hell it was called. Just Kids about Patti Smith and Robert Mapplethorpe, and Jane Goodall's memoir, and Between the World and Me with Ta-Nehisi Coates, and yada yada yada. You can go on and on and on. All these people. One thing that I can make similarities in common with every one of their stories was they felt like they were not welcome in the normal society that they grew up in, for whatever reason. Each one of them had different reasons, but for whatever reason, like for Trevor Noah, it was clear because he was colored and he didn't fit in the white world or the black world. He was like in this weird "I'm born a crime" kind of thing. The one thing that ended up happening to all these people, was they turned to their imagination and to themselves and to their creativity, and they used their right brain to keep themselves going forward and entertaining themselves and finding out stuff that they love to do. And this is what I could only think about after reading this book, was like there's something about, like I said at the top, a balanced mind leads to extraordinary lives. These people are forced as children to tap into the full brain of power of our human brain. And lo and behold, they become these. I don't think it's a secret, like why they became the people they became. Personally, I think it's pretty clear. Like when they were young, they were forced to use their whole brain, similar to the girl with a stroke of insight, right? She was forced to use her right side of her brain. We live in such a left brain dominated world where if you don't fit in, like what else you got to do? Like you got to do something else, right? Or otherwise you just fall apart, I guess. I don't know. But these people become, by tapping into more of a balanced approach to their mind, like they end up shining and standing out amongst everybody else because they're doing something a little bit different, and they're using all of our full human potential, or more of our full human potential. And I don't even know that they realize this, obviously, but I'm seeing this as like a pattern for myself, from this particular kind of story. And it makes me think, like, if the world was the exact opposite, if everything was a right-brained world where people were just all imaginative and creative all the time, and it was like, how we are so left-brain dominated in this society, like if we flipped it all around and we said, hey, this is going to be a really right-brain dominated society, and everything is super imaginative, creativity, and we're very abstract, and we don't really put words around stuff, and we're thinking about the connected nature of the world, I guarantee you the people that are the weird people in this world will maybe shift a little focus, and then they start to use their left brain a little bit more, I bet, and then they start to develop these habits and thinking about time and thinking about whatever else, and then everybody else in the right brain world starts to see them, and they're like, whoa, like what is that person, they're they're tapping into all this other potential. They're like shining above everybody else because they have a little bit more structure and a little more, habits and a little bit more rigidity and a little bit more, categorization of things, and they're seeing more patterns than these abstract people are over here all seeing. And like this is what I'm seeing as a collective of a lot of these different stories. So it's just another further notch in the belt for me, personally, after reading this book, of like people that ultimately live extraordinary lives are the ones that break free of whatever the societal norm is, and try to tap into a more balanced existence with using their full capability ranges, and a little bit more of a balanced existence. And then all of a sudden, that's where you end up with, where you get books like stories by Trevor Noah, and you get stories like Shonda Rhimes and Will Smith and whatever else, right? Like all these other amazing memoirs of people that have lived lives like this. So yeah, I don't know. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Well, to me, I think, isn't that obvious though?
It's not. It is not obvious. It is obvious to us now, maybe, but like this is not an
Because
obvious thing.
isn't two is better than one?
I mean, why not both, right? That was yesterday's reflection, right?
Right. Two is
Yeah.
always better than one because you have access to both sides of your brain, two brains. So to me, even if you use 100% of whatever you have on one side of the brain, you're still limited to what
Agreed.
that side can do. But if you basically say, hey, my square footage is only, so much. But then if I increase the room on the other side, I have more freedom to go back and forth and to do whatever I want. So to me, it's obvious.
I know it is now, but like it's not. I mean, like I
So
think
what?
most people go, I'm gonna be better left brain than everybody else. Like, or like, you know what I mean? Like I think most people are like, how can I be more goal oriented? How can I be more time, the what do they call it? Not maximizers, multiplier. How can I be a more time multiplier? How can I be, more productive? Like I mean it like that's how most people think success and
So
extraordinary
I don't
lives
think.
happens.
I mean, I think the problem is that people don't think,
I agree.
because if you let them think, they will say two is better than one, become obvious. The
It should.
problem I see is that people just take in the conditioning and the training that they were being given since childbirth, right? When they grow up, right, everything is about conditioning. You're supposed to be in class at this time. You're supposed to go to lunch at this time. You were supposed to raise your hand when you need to speak. You want to go to the bathroom. You have to ask for permission. You have to say yes, sir, yes, ma'am. I mean, you are being conditioned to follow this. You're not being
Yeah.
asked, oh, what do you think? Did people ask you, hey, what do you think? They ask you, what's two
No.
plus two? They ask you, what do you think two plus two is? I say, no, what's two plus two?
Yeah.
And they expect the answer. And the thing is, in some cases, in my kids' homework, right? The teacher marks the answer as wrong because it did not match the fucking answer in the book, even though logically, as an adult, you can see that the child got it right.
Right.
Right? When
Yeah, that's tough.
you literally say, two plus two is four, right? No, the book says five, therefore this answer is wrong. And it got marked off for it. And to me, that is the stupidest thing I've seen. But that's
Right.
the point, is people don't think. And if you let people think, I think it's obvious. Hey, would you like to have two brains or one brain?
I mean, you're I like it's you make an amazing point. I think you're 100% right. But I think that I think the most important thing is, from what you're saying, if we're going to take that and extrapolate on top of that, it would be most people only are forced to think when they're forced to think, meaning they're not accepted by the norm, whatever the norm is,
The
or
conditioning
something.
doesn't allow you to think, because if you think, the thing is, it's not that you. The thing is, I believe that people, when they are born, they are naturally able to think. It is just that
100%.
we are conditioned so much not to think that we stop thinking. because every time you think, you get smacked across the face for it. Because
I
you
was writing
remember
about this
your
morning.
childhood, right? You doing something. They say, "Hey, Chris,
I'm doing this
don't
to
do
Luca
that."
every day. Yeah.
It's like, don't do that. They snap you, or they call your parents and say, "Hey, Chris is being a bad boy today."
Yeah.
Right? And so you're being conditioned not to think. And so over so many years of being trained to not to think, so people stop thinking. So right now, like even a professional adult, they
Even
don't think. They only take whatever the news say. Hey, the news say, this particular policy is good. You go ahead and vote for it, and you just do exactly what people tell you to. You say, hey, this is the answer. So people are trained to look for answers. They don't train to think for themselves and look for answer within. They're trained for look for answers elsewhere from an external
you are
authority.
killing me, True. Like every fucking day. Like this is why I like talking to you, because like this is what I was just writing about this morning. Like literally, this is the reflection from this morning. It was about Hampton J. Pig with
Uh-huh.
how to change your mind, the Michael Pollan book that I was telling you about. So I was writing my first reflection of two on that. So Hampton J. Pig. Do you remember the show Tiny Toons? Did you ever see that? It
Uh-huh.
was
Right.
like
Right.
Animaniacs and Tiny
Right.
Toons and
Yes.
whatever. So Hampton was the little like Porky Pig, like tiny, he wasn't Porky Pig, but he was like the tiny equivalent of like Porky Pig on Tiny Toons. And
Mm-hmm.
and fucking Hampton, there was this episode I'll never forget, like ever. I don't know why. It's like I always laugh at this every single time that I think about it. This is what I was writing about this morning. Um, uh, this goes in line with what you're saying. We are actually born right brained only. Like, I mean, honestly, like we are
Mm-hmm.
fucking acid tripping. We're tripping hippies all day long as like 2-year-olds. They're on a fucking acid trip 24/7 basically. They're floating around and doing whatever the fuck they want to do, and they have no structure, rigidity, time. They don't have any constraints like at all. Like, so we like beat that into their heads all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until like we hit this balance tipping point where I don't know what do you say, like they're 6, 7, something like that or whatever. I don't know, like there's some inflection point
Not
that
even
we
then, because right now in the hospital, they say, hey, you have to feed your kid at a certain time. You have to put them
well
to
they need
bed
that
at a
structure. They, they,
certain
they
time.
do need structure, like they need to
Not
be
really.
taught.
No,
They
no,
well
they
they're
have
unbalanced when
to.
they're young. They're unbalanced.
No,
they're
to
they're they're
me,
not
I don't
they're
believe that though. I believe that the
no they
kids
are.
already have the sensors that tells you when they want to sleep, they go sleep. When they need to wake up, they wake up. I mean, the thing is,
I don't think that's true actually.
if the diapers is wet, they're gonna wake up.
I I
If
don't
the tummy is not happy, it's gonna wake up.
so
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 this is
we
this is hang on, this is an interesting like conversation in general of I actually this is what I was writing about was today. It was like I actually think that we're born fully almost right brain fluid. And if we're talking about getting to a balanced state is the key. This is where like habits and structure and rigidity and teaching,
but
the
I
right
believe that you form your own habits based on your characteristics of the person.
uh I don't think so, actually. I
Because
think
I
it's
mean, the thing is, you think about, let's go to the nature and look at the nature, right? All those guys have been trained for whatever we've been trained for. You talking about the cup, that lion cup that goes and hunt something, or whatever
that's
animal you
different.
could
There
pick.
that is different. That is not humans like that. That's what I'm trying to say
But
is
the
like
thing
that's
is, you are part animal, so
I know.
instinctively you have that. But you have a second brain that's on top of your brain that maybe you can process the behaviors and stuff. But the thing is, right now we are not even allowed for that rider to even does his own thing. You are basically training a rider to be this robot.
They're training the
To
elephant
to
to be a robot. You're
No,
training the elephant.
no. You train your rider to be a
Oh no, you're
robot,
right.
to
Yeah,
train
yeah,
the
yeah,
elephant.
yeah.
So
Right,
not
right, yeah.
only the rider has the cognitive
Yeah, yeah,
freedom
yeah. You're right. You're
to
right. Yeah,
choose, but even now we don't want to have that
right.
because we don't even think.
No,
We
I
are
agree. So
we are
so maybe
looking
you're 90
to an
10 when you're born, right brain, left brain. Maybe you're 90 10 right brain, left 10% left brain that's built in for like survival instincts or something like that. But even honestly, like kids are born so young that they don't even have any survival instincts. Like they would not be able to survive on their own. Like it's not possible. Like
that has
like
survival
they're not
instincts.
lions.
Yes, they have 10%, which is they cry when they need something.
Right. But
So
but
that's
that's
their survival instinct.
but other than that, like
But that's what I'm
it's very
saying is they
minuscule
do
amount
have
is what I'm
basic
trying to say.
instinct, right? I'm saying is there's ten
Maybe
percent. It's
a tiny
not
bit.
it's not like what you're saying. But technically, there is a survival instinct in babies.
Sure, but it's a lot less than the right brain
But
domination of.
technically, the even less is still an instinct.
I agree. I think as we if we start like 90-10, if this is 100% over here and then 90% is right here, right on the right brain left brain spectrum. I think as slowly over time, as they get older and older and older, maybe
you
you're
get to you get to
5, 6,
40,
7,
60,
whatever.
50,
Yeah.
50. That's where naturally you
Oh,
would gravitate towards.
exactly. Eventually, at a certain point in time, I think we can both agree. I don't know when that inflection happens, but like we humans now get to the point in time where they're like 95-5 on the other side of the equation of left
Right.
brain versus right brain, right? So my point of what I was going at with all this is with Hampton J. Pig, by the way, is my funny little story about Tiny Toons. So he there was this episode where this like soul sucking monster was going around and sucking all the souls out of all the Tiny Toons.
Mm-hmm.
And Hampton, his soul is like, I mean, his personality in general is he's like super conservative. He's super like diligent and punctual, and he like loves. I think I wrote it in here. I pulled this from some website. He's a good natured, mild mannered, gullible, and naively optimistic pig who has a huge appetite. He's shown as a straight man to his friends who are usually wacky and zany, especially Plucky Duck. He's also a neat freak that has an obsession with cleanliness, right? So this is Hampton J. Pig's personality, right? So this thing is going around sucking all the souls out of all the wacky and zany Tiny Toons, and so Plucky Duck's going nuts, and he's doing crazy shit, and he's bouncing all around, and then this monster comes and he sucks the soul out of Plucky Duck, and he's like now just like a blob that's just like, oh no, I don't know, like and now he's just lame and whatever. Well,
Right.
this soul sucking monster comes to Hampton, and Hampton's in his room and he's cleaning his bedroom, and he goes, I'm gonna clean my room. And then the soul sucking thing sucks the soul out of him, and he goes, whew, I'm gonna clean my room. I can never forget this whole entire thing. But like Hampton is all of us. Like we're like we have no like, we're just fucking like rigid, like habitual, like left brain people all day every day, and it takes like an atomic bomb or something like that, or something like Trevor Noah's circumstances where he's shunned by the rest of society, where or Shonda Rhimes was the same thing, right? She used to spend all day long writing in a cupboard, by herself because she felt like she didn't have any friends and she didn't have whatever. So she used her imagination and wrote stories and all this other things. And that's how she ended up doing what she's doing today. But like my point of what I'm getting at is like it's always some weird thing that like pulls people out of this Hampton J. Pig world, right? Of like we're just dull idiot, habitual dipshits, and like they get sucked back into the actual world where they're like, oh, I can do this stuff, and then they become extraordinary people to these Hampton J. Pigs over here because they're like, oh my god, you can do that? Like I don't have to just be excited to clean my room every day, like I mean anyway, that was my example I was trying to give with this, but like Trevor Noah is the same. Like I mean he was ostracized. I mean he was born a crime. He had a weird life, and he had to find a way to figure out how to do other things that other people couldn't do, and that was tapping into his right brain.
It's because I think the key to I guess the story is that when you are not hitting the marks that society sets for you, um, it feels like you're not okay. So when you're not okay, you are forced to look elsewhere. And this is why, because if society, hey, you have to be this certain person and a certain characteristic, a certain, you know, whatever quotas or mantras or whatever that society expects you to be, and you are not hitting that mark, that's gonna create this stress for you, and that stress is, to me, equates to internal pain, internal conflicts,
Mm-hmm.
and that creates anxiety, and which drives you away from it. And say, hey, if I can't meet it, that means I'm not comfortable in that state. Therefore, you have to find another state. Similarly to people who have an atomic bomb, it gets to the point where I can't stay in this state anymore. I have to find something else, anything, consequences. But if
Yep.
you get to when you get to a state where you adhere to society to the point where you are being encouraged, this is when you become more robotic. Just because I told you when I was younger, when I was younger, I was really the right brain child. I mean, I don't have any sense of time or anything like that. I just do whatever I want. I don't really care. I mean, I told you I can't even read until I was 7. Right?
Right.
That's like to society. I'm the dumbest kid. I can't speak to you. I can't describe to you certain things because everything's in my head and it can't connect. Because I just don't remember. You asked me to describe a tree. I can't describe it. It can't give you a
Yeah,
very cohesive.
words is left brained. I mean, like that's a left brain
Exactly.
thing.
I
Yeah.
don't. I can't describe you a tree.
Right.
Right? You ask me, describe a tree. Well, obviously, a tree has leaves, has trunk, has you know, roots or whatever. I can't even give you one.
Right.
What does a tree
It
have?
makes sense.
Um, I
It
don't
makes
know.
sense.
So
I
I
mean,
have no fucking clue how to describe to you what a tree is,
right.
right? And to me, the teacher looks at you and say, "Hey, what the hell is this wrong with this kid?" Because to me, there's no logic, no reasoning.
Mhm.
And so that to me was the. But the problem is, when I was younger, my parents are always busy because we were really poor after the war. Uh, I mean, they encourage me to be better, but it's not like I'm being forced to be better or
Mhm.
being whipped into it. So it's not like I had to. So I did not have to find a different outlet. You know what I mean? So to the as far as the um I guess the state is concerned, I meet the marks. To say, hey, I did some of these things. I mean, I was so creative when I was younger.
Right.
So creative. I mean, I go out there and I will do certain things that no one can do. Whether that, hey, um, in the garden, I would
Like
do certain
MacGyver.
things. Yeah, I would find ways to do things. Right. I would
Right.
find ways to get in trouble.
Right.
That's the part to put it more
Raccoon
plainly.
life. Mapache.
Yeah, and to me, it had the best time when I
Yeah.
was younger. And then when I came to the United States when I was 10 years old, from 6th grade into 12th grade, I have perfect attendance. I was completely robotic. Think about that, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying is,
You went to the opposite. You really wanted to fit in that way, and you could in America. Maybe necessarily couldn't
and
in
and and the
Vietnam. You know.
reason, what I'm saying is the reason for that is because I was no longer appreciated as being this creative person.
Right.
So when I came to America, right, I was getting to because in America it's very very structured. Because even in Vietnam, it's not as structured as in America. Okay, in Vietnam, when I was in trouble in Vietnam, what I do is I basically become a troublemaker in class. I would basically create chaos in class, right? And my teacher would use the ruler stick and would whack me on my hands, and usually get to the point where nothing will hurt no more. They basically break the sticks before I whack my hand. So that's
Right.
what I did. And then after school, or during recess, I would go and pick fights with other people, regardless, whatever, some minor, some silly stuff. And after school, I would go behind the church and go fight, then go home, and then whatever. I go to school without shoes, blah blah,
Right.
right? And so I did all that, but my parents, like, they're busy working, so the letters and the teachers don't really call the parents. It's just you're gonna hit you on the hands or make
Right.
you kneel on some kind of jackfruit peel that has the little spikes on it.
Jesus.
So so the thing is, they actually forced. So they do those in school, but because you are a troublemaker, you don't really care no more. So it's not like your parents is forcing you. But
Right.
then when I came to America, it's very structured. And basically, when I have the same habit, the same trait, I create trouble in class. I don't follow the rules. Say, hey, get in line. You go blah blah whatever. I don't follow the rule.
Yeah.
I don't follow, and that wasn't going to happen in America because that's when
Yeah.
they call parents in, and they won't let me go home until my parent comes in, and
Yeah.
because my parents have to work, right, that was a last straw. So, hey, you can't do that anymore. So basically,
That's funny. Yeah.
I basically get to the point where I was
You're
told
shoved
that,
into the
hey,
left brain world. You said
you
this
you
is the right way you got to go.
you
Yeah.
got pushed, and then from that moment on, It's all left brain, and I told you, perfect attendance,
Yeah. No,
perfect attendance.
that's amazing.
And,
That's
and like
insane,
I told
honestly.
you, it's only because I was mad and say, no, you cannot do that.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying is that's the key is when you have no other choice, you have to find other outlets.
Yep.
Because if I wasn't in the United States and the United States didn't have the rigid rules, then it wouldn't happen. Because I mean, if they punish me or something like that, send me home, then that wouldn't be an issue. But because they kept me until 9 o'clock, 9:30 p.m. at school until my parents come pick me up, and my parents have to work 2 jobs because right. So my parents have to get out of work, right? Get a call
Yeah.
from.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
they're fucking pissed. Yeah.
they're fucking pissed, but also
Yeah.
the thing is, it's not like so the school won't they'll expel you. They say, hey, you can't do this anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
you wanna belong here, right? You have to follow the rules, and that was the moment that I had to be forced into the left brain world where I continue to say, well, in order for me to continue to exist, because the thing is, my fear was that because my parent has uprooted us from Vietnam into America, we're in a place where I can't speak the language. I don't understand anyone. They don't understand anyone, and
Yeah.
we are struggling. And my parents are struggling to make ends meet. And the thing is, in order for me to stay in America, I have to be in school. If I don't have to be in school, I have to be elsewhere, and that causes issues for my parents, and that my parents
Yeah.
may have to be put back to sent back or wherever. It can't stay here if I make trouble. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why I was forced in my own head to say, well, I have to change. And to that moment on, I
That makes
became an
sense.
A student. I became an A student up into college, right? I mean, basically, in college, I only graduate the college in 3 years because
Right.
what else am I gonna do? And so that's thing is because it's completely opposite in Vietnam. Like I was the dumbest kid. I can't even describe to you. I mean, even in fifth grade, I don't know anything,
Right.
right? I mean,
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, honestly. It's you said if I'm gonna make it in this society, like I got to be better than everybody else at being what they do, and like I'm gonna do that for my parents, for myself, for whatever, for whatever reason. But that makes a lot of sense as to like like going to school every single day and never missing a day from 6th through 12th grade is like an incredible feat. Like I only know of one other person, and she was like when I went to school that did that. And she was like the weirdest person ever, in terms of like we were all like, how are you doing that? Like it was almost like a game to her at that point in time of like, I can't, I don't care. I'm never missing a day. Like it's not happening. And she was also our valedictorian of our class. Like she was like, I'm gonna be the best left brain person you will ever meet, kind of thing. Like, and I'm gonna fucking dominate everybody else in academia and all this other stuff. And I'm gonna be the class valedictorian. I'm gonna never miss school. Like, I mean, that's what you got to do if you're gonna go to the other end of the spectrum. Like, that's what you got to do. Like, it's Michael Phelps, right? It's like I got to be in the pool for 10 hours a day every single day or whatever it is, or something like crazy like that, where you're like, you don't need to do that, Michael. Like, but he's like, but I do for whatever reason. Like he feels compelled to compete in the left brain world. Like I got to be better than everybody else, and I got to go even deeper and into the left brain side of everything. And it's it makes a lot of sense to me as to how people could get there, because you had in a weird way an atomic bomb event that sent you the other direction.
So and then in college,
And
right, I
that makes
missed
sense.
half of my class.
There you go.
So in college, I missed half my class because I yearned for the feeling because I didn't like to have this rule. That's why for me, as far as my personal is concerned, I don't like rules. That's why I don't like authority. I basically go against any authority figures.
Does
As like
anybody?
that.
I mean, does anybody?
I don't know. I think there's some, but for
I mean,
me,
I don't. I
no,
mean,
because
I
the
don't
thing
know.
is, I don't know. I don't know about your family.
I think we accommodated, but like
I don't
I
know
don't know
about
that
your
anybody likes it.
family, but my family, I have seven brothers and sisters altogether. So I am probably like so thinking all of our brothers and sisters, we have completely different personality, right?
Right.
I'm the one who are like the extremities of like against society, against rule, against regime, against everything, and have other extreme brothers, right? That do exactly like to the dot, right? But that's what they do. Because even in the same family, we
But do
have
they
this.
like it? But do they like it? Like, I mean, it
I
doesn't
think
matter
they,
if they do it, but do they
I
like it?
think they do. I think they do. I
You think?
mean,
I mean, I have you ever asked them?
we have a spectrum from the worst troublemaker to the best kid in the house, right? So
Right.
I'm probably in the end, and then my older brother is like next to it, and then next to it is another other brother, and then my sisters, and then my second brother is on the other end, and so there is a
Right.
spectrum of. I mean, 'cause for me, it's like if anybody gets smart with me, I'll get into it with them. I mean, the thing is, you cannot peer pressure me, and you cannot um bully me because regardless if
Are
I
you the
lose,
youngest of seven?
no, I'm the middle.
Middle. Okay. Like
I'm the
how?
middle.
Which like four or five or
I'm the third.
third? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. That is kind of fascinating. I mean, I think you could probably try to. Well, I mean, in a lot of ways, you could have been, Trevor Noah, and when you came to America, you could write a story about, like, if you kept going down the road that you were going down, like as a successful, graduated school for 3 years, like never missed a day, ran multiple businesses, like you could have ended up being, in a weird way, the opposite direction of this, like, but it wasn't a balanced existence. I think the point of my reflection that I was trying to get across is I think Trevor, he didn't go full on to the like I'm just gonna live in, like, loopy world, like psychotic breakdown kind of world. He just moved far enough past this world that he couldn't exist in,
Mhm.
to a little bit more of a balanced state where he was accessing a little bit more of his
But
full
because he
potential.
has a special condition, meaning he can't go full on to the other side because the other side won't accept him either,
Exactly.
right? So he has to be in the middle, right?
Right.
He can't go one side nor the other side. He has to be in the middle. So that's why he's being forced to be balanced. Because
Yeah.
if like if the one side accepts him, when he's going to be extremely on the other side. Hey, this guy hates me. I'm going to be the most loyal person on the other side. You think about it, but the other
Yeah.
person is, hey, I don't want you either. So, well, I'm neither loyal to this side or that side. So I'm in the middle. So we'll do whatever in the middle. So the thing is, circumstances forces you. But the point is, the key is to say you have to explore and be able to understand the other side and
Yes.
have
Yeah.
both to even have the spectrum of view that you can see, because
Exactly.
without just one of them, you're basically blinded by what can be options for you on the
Exactly.
other side.
Exactly. And when you're blinded, you're not going to live an extraordinary life. Like when you and I don't mean that I'm not
Well, i
blind or
think i
something.
think it's
Yeah.
it's it's about whether or not you
Well, actually, extraordinary
are
life isn't what I was saying. It's
comfortable
not really character. Yeah.
you're comfortable with the feeling that life gives you, because
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying is today I'm not as like quote unquote to society a successful person, but I feel like what I do every day. You ask me
That
what happened
that's what I was
today?
going to say.
Nothing. But I love my life. My
I'm
life to me, life is good.
exactly.
Right? Life is
That was about what I was about ready to say. Was like an extraordinary life doesn't have to be somebody that's famous or whatever. It could you live an extraordinary life. Extraordinary life. I live an extraordinary life. Like I love my life, and I don't, I don't that's extraordinary in my opinion, of me walking around every single day, even with whatever's happened in my life or whatever's happened in your life, like I get to wake up every single day and I go, I love my life. That's extraordinary to me. Like I don't care if other people know that or not, but the only reason you can get to that point in time is if you are, like you said, or if you're accessing all seeing as much as you can. You're never going to see it all, but if you're trying your best.
but you're not limited. But my point is
Right.
that your boundaries of
Exactly.
where you can go is not limited, because like yeah, you're not trying to cover all of the real estate or wherever you can go, but say, hey, I'm able to go to that corner to the left or the corner to the right or whatever. You have that ability, and you maybe stay somewhere in the middle of this real estate that you have. But if you have only one side, we say you limited your only one side, regardless how much you cover that real estate, you are still missing a bunch of things on the other side. And
Exactly.
so for you, as far as your life is concerned, it is very constrained. It
Yeah,
isn't as free and as open as you would be able to. Just the point of the kind of analogy
that's
of
the
two,
worst.
right? And that's what I'm saying. It's obvious to have the two is it's
It's
better than one.
obvious now to us. I don't think that I don't think this is an obvious thing. Like, I mean, I think that it's obvious to you and I now, but like, I don't think that this is an obvious thing to the majority of this world. I don't even know that they know that the right brain even exists. Like, they think, oh, well, artsy people do artsy stuff, you know. Like I mean, you hear this all the time. Like, I'm not a creative. Like, I mean, I hear that all the time from people.
Right,
Like,
because
I'm not a creative,
they
you
were
know.
told they were told
Right?
because the thing
Yeah,
is, hey,
I'm not an artist. Like,
if your mom tells you, hey Chris, you can't sell, you can't talk, then you stop talking. You won't talk. You're not as
right.
you won't be as expressive as you would today, just because
Well,
somebody told you that you're not this, you're not that.
and they think that being a creative means only drawing or painting or singing or acting or something like that, like these arts,
Because
like you
it's
know,
the
anything is an
labyrinth that
art.
tells you the labyrinth that tells you, and the labyrinth aren't creative, so they don't have labels for creativities. So
Exactly.
they come up with the best word to describe creativity. Hey, you draw, that's creatively. You're making films, that's creatively. You're making music, that's creative. That's it. That's all I can think of.
That's creative,
Right?
you know, like you could be a
Because the
creator in
person who
anything.
labels you are the left brains. They're not the right brain.
Exactly. Like you can use your imagination in everything that you're doing. You can use your imagination as you're just walking down the sidewalk and looking at the castle around you. You know what I mean? Like you can explore and learn. Like that doesn't mean that you have to be this prolific, you know, artist, quote unquote, as we know it to today, or something like that. That's like some famous comedian or actor or musician or whatever, you know, like that's not all the art entails. That is not what right brain thinking is. Like, that is an expression of it. Like, for sure, like, but even those people have probably more of a balanced mindset than almost everybody else, like, because they still have to have habits to be able to bring their art out into the world. Like, they still have to have tethered to reality to understand how to navigate this world, right? Like, they're just basically a balanced human being. They're doing
Well, I
stuff.
think that's what I'm saying is balancing and being you or being optimal. Because you think about it,
Right.
I was very, very creative when I was younger, but I can't describe it to you. I cannot communicate with you. So the thing is, as far as human beings concerned, we are lacking the part of sharing. Because I
Yeah,
am
we
the
have to have we
lone
have to
wolf.
have them both, right?
Because the thing is, I can do these creative stuff, but I can't come back to you and describe it to a friend. I can't describe it to you what I mean because
Right.
my complete logic is it has no sequence. Because the thing is, everything is distracted. Because the thing is, even if I look at a tree and you ask me, hey, True, describe to me a tree, I can't fucking describe to you what a tree looks like when I'm looking at it. Because
Okay.
because my brain isn't in a sequence. My train of thought isn't in a sequence. It's a completely indifferent, right? And so you can
Meaning
see
you were unbalanced. Like, I mean, like, it was
exactly
you
my
needed to
point.
be able
My
to
point is
yeah,
you need to have balance
right.
to
Right.
be a the human beings that you feel like it's good for your for
Be an
the life
extraordinary
is
human
good.
being, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
and
you can't have just one side only. Because the thing is, doing things by myself is great, but doing things with others is even better.
agreed. I mean, 100%. It's one of our core values. Don't do it alone, you know. So it's, I mean, it's, I don't know. It's just every time I hear more and more stories like this, and it was really funny that I finished this book right after Stroke of Insight, my Stroke
Uh-huh.
of Insight, because it like, obviously we've talked about this before too. Like, what you're learning is a leading indicator on what on you know, like,
And the core
I,
values.
I I was primed, you know. I like, hell, like, we've been talking this past like week and a half about right brain, left brain, and then I'm reading a book about psychedelics, about, you know, whatever. Like, I've been primed to write about Day Pig this morning for a while, you know, and I was like excited.
I'm gonna clean my room.
Yeah, I'm gonna clean my room. Like, you know, man, I wish I could find that clip. I was searching for like 10 minutes this morning after I got done writing that reflection. I was like, that's got to exist on the internet somewhere, and I couldn't find it. I promise you, I googled everything you could possibly Google. I'll try it again really fast. It was you know, Hampton JPEG. You know, oh, I already see it, some of the things that I had on here. Uh, Is it?
Mm,
No, I don't know
no,
what the hell
that's
that
not him
is.
to JPEG.
Yeah, I know.
That doesn't look like him in JPEG. Uh,
This is Hampton, by the way.
yeah.
I mean, I literally searched for many videos and I could not find.
It's because it's buried under the Google search engines because you
Wait,
know
wait, wait. Is this it? Nope, that is not it. Unless it's some. Anyway, I couldn't find it. All right.
all
Well,
right, all right.
I think we've officially hit we went from we'll do this in 15 minutes to it's now 45. So all right, let's
I told you that
if
was
you're
hard.
I know I knew it wasn't going to happen. This is the problem with all this. Like I still have energy and I still could keep going. This is like this is eating the cake, right? You're like, God damn it,
I
I
wanted
gotta
more
stop
cake,
eating the
yeah,
fucking
but
cake.
then
I gotta go to bed,
yeah.
it's stupid. Like it's stupid. It's so annoying, where we can't stop. So, but it's also good at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you got to put the cake down and go to bed.
This is
And
one of the things where it contributes to the life is good.
exactly,
Kind of like bucket.
exactly, for sure. No, it was fun conversation as always. The question we can leave for everybody is, what's stopping you from regularly tapping into your creative and imaginative side of your existence? So,
Or the other side as well,
or the other
because
side, yeah,
like I said, I was once on the too much creativity. I
very true.
can't talk to you straight.
That's kind of what I said in this reflection too, of like if the world was right brain dominated, where we were all like 95.5 right brained all the time kind of thing, like the one genius out there that was like, hey guys, habits are important, and
But you
like
think
if you
about it,
just
like this. This is why. This is why the
describe a
monk.
habit, with language.
You remember the experiments from the child and the monkeys
Yeah.
experiment where
Mhm.
depending who's more creative,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Because the thing is, without the left brains, human would not have been successfully as we have been because we wouldn't be able to share the ideas to each other.
I agree.
We want to, we try
Yeah,
to, but we couldn't because we are too disconnected. We're
right.
too distracted by things. It's like, I can't describe to you the ideas that I want to have. I can't tell you how to fix certain things just because I figured out, but I can't articulate it to you, right? Because for me, it's my
Language.
vocabulary
Right.
is really non-existent.
Right.
So I see, hey, there is something, brown on the the thing on the tree. What you call
Right.
it? I can't tell you that what that thing is. It's a fucking trunk, right? I
Right.
can't tell you the cover. I know what it is, but I can't tell you what it is. Like
Right.
the thing, right? Up and down, and then the thing that wraps it, right? I can't even tell you it's brown.
Right.
That's the problem.
No,
Because
I mean that is a massive problem. I mean, if you don't have language, you
you should
can't
have
communicate.
seen the whatever they call it in literature in English literature in Vietnam they try to like write a story right about a tree
Right.
or whatever, right? You should have seen what I wrote. it's like hey, is it chicken? Chicken wrote this.
I mean, probably were wondering what the hell is going on. I mean, but it's funny you say that because because
Because
you are.
my brother was like mocked. Like I mean, that's I told you. This guy is like that. I'm the other side. He's like, what's wrong with
But,
you?
wait, you just said smart though. Like that's as society
Meaning
defines it, like left
he's a
brain
child
society.
prodigy. My
As
brother is a, my
as
brother is a
defined
child prodigy based
as
on
defined
society.
in a left brain dominated society. Like, I
Yes,
mean, like you could have been a child prodigy too as well. Like, and they could have been like, this guy's kind of all crazy weird over here, but like, someday he's gonna invent something, miraculous because
but that's the
he was,
thing is my brother is a child prodigy because he was young for his age when he go to school and he's really good at school. And but that's what I'm saying is I'm the other side that I can't do shit.
right.
But at the same time, I'm the one who graduate first among everybody. I'm the one who started companies. I'm the one, right?
Yeah,
I'm the I'm the one who has all these things. I'm the one who is. I'm also like involved
it's
in the investment for my brothers and sister. Right, we joined
right.
together for, and I'm the one who actually leading that. So I mean,
It's not surprising at all. Remember when I told you about the the WeWork co-founder Miguel and the co-founder of gosh, what's that blowout place? The hair blow dry bar alley that lived on that Oregon commune together, you know,
mhm, mhm.
out in hippie world, and it was only like 5 families with like 5 moms raising kids. And I mean, like this, it's not a surprise to me at all. Like this is my point. Is like Trevor Noah's story is not a surprise to me at all. Will Smith's story is not a surprise to me at all anymore. Shonda Rhimes is not a surprise. It's like, I mean, all of these people, like every day, like these are not surprising stories to me at all anymore, because it is clear, like to me, very crystal clear what you're saying. Like you would have been the one that I would have picked if I would have been like, if that guy can just get his shit together a little bit and pull it just a little bit more toward the center and be more balanced, like the perspective that he's going to carry with this plus having a little bit more of a balance, you know, be able to communicate it in some way, shape, or form, like it's going to result in a
Yeah, the
way
thing is,
bigger.
my brother is a very smart person, but he doesn't go out of boundaries. I do.
Exactly. You
So
can't ever do extraordinary things, even just living a life that you want to live, unless you're willing to go out of the boundaries that society gives you. Like, I mean, it's just not possible.
but those boundaries are arbitrary.
Exactly. They
They're
are.
not even real boundaries. Just make up some shit and say, hey, you should follow this rule. It's like, hey, you cannot carry a duck on your head across the street,
Right. I mean,
right?
that's the Mapache life, man. Like, I mean, it's that's why I love being a raccoon. That's why I love Loki. That's because it's like, I don't fucking care. Who cares? Like, I mean, what is my boss gonna do? Fire me? Fine, I don't care. Like, I'll just go somewhere else and tell them exactly what I did. And they're gonna go, "That's pretty awesome." Like, how'd you learn all this stuff? Well, I just did what I wanted to do, and that's where I got to, you know. And I'll continue to go do that. Like, and that's what I'm gonna always do, because I want to do that, because I get to express my values. I get to, you know, experience my daughter, have good energy, have these conversations with you every night. Yada yada yada. Anyway, we got to go to bed. All right. Okay. Thanks for joining, everyone, and we will see you Monday.
Monday. Sounds good. Good
See
night.
ya.